stop giving homeless people things that fit within your realm. So I know, like, my grandma says never give homeless people money, and I'm like, why? And she's like, because they'll use it on drugs and alcohol. And I'm like, I don't know. However,
so for those of you who don't know, for my day job, I go out into my city and I essentially help the homeless population. I help them with housing, employment, getting their forms of identification. I help them with all of that stuff.
So some people who might seem generous actually turn out not to be.
I form a bond with my clients, and I both love and hate it how they will come up to me and they'll tell me, and they'll be ecstatic. They'll be like, Eli, I just got $20 from this person. Yeah, it's great, but how did that person vote? Like, the same people that love to dote on and pretend like they care about homeless people are also the same people that will then turn around and be the first ones to go, well, not in my backyard. I don't want them to put government-funded housing in my neighborhood. What are you talking about? That's going to drive down the curb appeal and the worth of my property. But again, when they see that homeless person with a sign that says, hungry, anything helps, they'll throw a 20 right out the window like a paper airplane. I just want to let you guys know that, like, when you do that, it really doesn't do anything except maybe at this point, because of inflation, buy that person a burger and a kick in the teeth. Because simply put, for a lot of y'all, people like the homeless are just there to make y'all feel and look good.
So this TikTok by non-Eli Monty points out the reality that some people who can sometimes seem generous when they're donating money to individual charities or even giving money to individual homeless people will very often turn up and vote against policies that would actually help homeless people and support systemic policies that actually thrust people into homelessness and poverty. And while this seems like a pretty extreme contradiction, that these people aren't being consistent in their beliefs about the world, fundamental reality is that this is the result of rugged individualism fully embedding itself within Americans' brain. Because we need to understand something. Many people, when they look at the world through the lens of individuals, they can see a real-life person in front of them, and they can empathize with those real-life individuals and understand how different factors might have created some sort of extenuating circumstance that led that person to poverty. And they can feel bad for somebody that they see individually. But then, when everything comes to a systemic level, all of a sudden, everything changes. Well, at the individual level, people recognize that somebody can experience a great deal of bad luck. What people don't want to acknowledge is that the system that we have today is not actually based off of hard work leading to success. That the narrative that we say about, oh, if you just work hard, then you'll be successful, creates this picture where if you are living comfortably, then you deserve it because you're working hard. And if somebody isn't living comfortably, that's because they're not working hard enough for it. And so even if you understand how some individual person might be unlucky in some particular way, as long as you have that belief about the systemic level of the world, you won't really push for systemic changes. You won't push for policies that would actually prevent people from being homeless in the first place, because while you might see an individual homeless person, feel bad for them, give them a little bit of money, and then say, man, they must be really unlucky, you might also at the same exact time have this belief that, well, most of the people that are experiencing this just aren't working hard enough. Create an exception for every person that you actually see, but then you create a fantasy for all of the countless people that you don't see. And this really goes into something that's important, that homeless people as a class is something that is categorically disregarded in our society, even while individual homeless people might garner a lot of sympathy from people. And so this is something that we need to understand. And that really is at the heart of the issue, because unless we recognize the fact that our system is flawed, our system is evil, it actually drives people to homelessness. Quite literally, capitalism depends on a certain amount of people being homeless and hungry, with a certain amount of people being unemployed and unable to get a job in order to keep wages down, in order to keep rents up. If every single person had an apartment that wanted it, the cost of apartments would go down. And if everybody who wanted a job had a job, the price of wages would actually go up because businesses would have a harder time finding workers. Our system is actively designed to create homelessness and to create poverty in order to maintain the profits of giant corporations, which is why it's so critical that we look at the world through systems. But the people that don't want to look at the world through systems largely do so for one reason. They want to believe in individualism. Specifically, they want to believe that it was their own hard work that got them everything that they have. They want to believe that they deserve the comforts and luxuries that they have in the world. But when you think like that, then you start to think that other people don't deserve those things. And that's something that we really need to get through our heads. Fundamentally, everybody deserves the basic necessities of life. and everybody deserves a little bit of comfort and luxury. It doesn't matter if you work hard or not. We all, because we are human, deserve a comfortable life. But under the individualistic mindset, people are pitted against each other. And so even when you have somebody that can be individually generous, when they're operating in a system like this and they believe in this individualistic mindset, then they're prone to disregard systemic issues. So all that is to say, if we actually want to deal with these problems and make the world a better place, what we need to do is look at systems. And we need to understand that any benefits, perks, or comfort that you have under this system right now is not only luck, but it also is fundamentally dependent on other people being homeless and hungry. And that fundamentally, if you're a good person, you don't want people to be homeless and hungry just so that you can have comfort and luxury. And we should all be working together to make sure that everybody can have everything that they need to survive.